Welcome to Canadian Football League Weekly, presented by the World of Football. Each week, we recap the games played up north in the CFL, and we look ahead to next week's games. Our mission here is to educate American football fans on the teams and players in the CFL in the hopes that you will come to love this league as much as we do. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and I'm joined by my son, Adam.
Ah, yes, it's a lovely, gloomy day here. I know we were recording a couple days later than normal. Had some
Yeah,
technical issues the other day, but hey, we had some, not breaking news, I guess, but we had some new stuff come up, so it worked out that we're recording on a Wednesday afternoon.
yeah.
But so excited for CFL football. Yes, NFL season's technically coming back, but
Mhm.
the CFL's been here. It's going to be here for a while longer, so let's chat about that. Loving what's going on in the CFL. A lot of good stuff this week.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get right to the scores from week 8. It's been going on for 2 months now, the regular season up there.
Oh,
Uh,
nuts.
on Thursday night, it was the Montreal Alouettes over the Calgary Stampeders, 23-21. Calgary led 6-0 at the end of the first quarter, but Montreal had held a 1-point lead at halftime, 14-13. In the third quarter, Calgary quarterback Vernon Adams suffered a head injury on a scramble, but the Stampeders had a 21-14 lead going into the final quarter. But three fourth quarter field goals by Montreal kicker Jose Maltos, including the game winning 58-yarder with a minute 10 to play, sealed the win on the road for the Alouettes. Man, that was a heartbreaker for Calgary. I was really rooting for Calgary. That's one of my favorite teams. And
They've
so
they
sad to see that ending.
Yeah, they've been on the up and up this year. They've been a team we talked
Yes.
about. Like they matched their win total from last year. Now here they are. They were in a great spot and to keep that momentum going. And they've run into an Alouettes team that's kind of been a little all over the place. Like still good, but you just never know which version of this team's going to show up. And for a while there, I thought Calgary had their number, but you got to play a full 4 quarters, and even in the CFL game.
Yeah.
And when you have a kicker like Jose Maltos who can just boot it, and like I think they said during that game that 58-yarder to win it would have been good from 65 yards.
Yeah, it was
Uh,
way past the goalpost.
yeah, it's nuts, and I talked about it on our podcast when we talked about this game that it always throws me watching CFL sometimes when I see the ball at like the 50-yard line and they're like, oh, they're in field goal range, and I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, they're at the 50-yard, and then I have to like do the quick math in the head, like, oh wait, yeah, duh, because they moved the goalpost up to the goal line. So really, a 50-yard, at the 50-yard line, you're at about a 57-yard field goal. So,
Yeah.
uh, it heck of an ending. Way to go,
Yeah.
Montreal, for clawing their way back. It stinks about Vernon Adams. I know you got an injury update and who's going to be
Yeah.
starting for them this week. We'll get to that in a second, but. Filling in for that Montreal team is a quarterback that I won't say. Okay, I've been not super critical, but he filled in before early in the year. McLeod Bethel Thompson, we like McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yes, we do.
I just didn't think things were gelling super well with his earlier starts with the Alouettes, but he had a decent game in this one, filling in for the injured Davis Alexander. 30 of 40 passing, 280 yards, a touchdown, and an interception for MBT, as they like to call him on those broadcasts up there. And wide receiver Tyler Snead had a heck of a game, 7 catches, 103 yards. He was a big difference maker in this one, made a couple of really awesome plays.
Yeah.
And of course, one of our favorite positions, no matter what level of football, the kicker. As mentioned, Jose Maltos, he went 5 for 5 during this game, the longest of which was that 58-yarder to win the game on Calgary's side of the ball. Quarterback Vernon Adams started this game. He went 15 of 25 for 193 yards and a touchdown. But after he got hurt, backup quarterback PJ Walker came in, completing 3 of 7 passes for 20 yards in the fourth quarter. Running back Dedrick Mills ran the ball 14 times for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Dominic Rhymes had 5 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Calgary was shut out in the fourth quarter in this game. That's never a good thing to be shut out in any quarter, but especially the fourth quarter. And man, uh, earlier in the week, I heard that Vernon Adams was going to play this week, or it was a pretty good shot that he was going to play. But it just came out today that Philip Walker, PJ Walker, has been named the starter for this week's Calgary game against the Ottawa Red Blacks. So
yeah, and if that name sounds familiar to people, PJ spent a lot of time in the XFL/UFL. I think most notably with the Houston Roughnecks there for a bit. He was a huge star before the XFLs, before the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
And he's jumped around to some NFL teams. Now here he is up in the CFL. I'm not sure if this is his first stint up there, but a little rough going there in that last game. Maybe he just needs a little more prep time, and maybe hopefully that'll help the Stampeders. That you would hate to see them lose any momentum that they've gained this season. But I mean, a quarterback change can be a huge difference.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe it's just for the game. I mean, it is a long season in the CFL, so I'm not going to say this is going to make or break their season, but it's just something to watch out for when looking at this upcoming week's games.
Yeah, they probably don't want to rush Vernon Adams back too soon and get him
No.
re-injured. Take your time, make sure he's really good to go, get him back on the field. Because, like you said, it's a long season, 18 game season over 21 weeks. So yeah, there's a long ways to go yet in this season.
We barely got to the halfway point yet. So
yeah, yep. All right, on Friday night, it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the Edmonton Elks, 21-18. Edmonton led 4-1 at the end of the first quarter, but Saskatchewan led 11-4 at halftime. Saskatchewan led 21-4 going into the fourth quarter, but Edmonton mounted a comeback, shutting out Saskatchewan in the fourth quarter and scoring 14 unanswered points. And with a minute 56 left in the game, the score was 21-18, but Saskatchewan was just able to hang on to the ball, run out the clock, and preserve the win at home. I really thought Edmonton was gonna come back, but boy, the defense for Saskatchewan was just smothering. They wanted to keep that lead, and boy, they shut them out there in that last minute or so. Didn't let them get anywhere near a score.
How many weeks now have I been talking about that Saskatchewan defense? They got the pressure on Fajardo at several points during this game, especially at the end when it really mattered. They came in clutch. But I mean, at the same time, though, for 3 quarters, it was like, man, here we go. The same old Elks. They make a quarterback change after a bye week, and this is the performance they had. Now, that fourth quarter, though, kudos to them for making it interesting. And as we talked that first game, you get shut out in a quarter. It's usually not a good sign. But here, Saskatchewan got shut out, but they were able to hold on, and that defense came through, and that's a big difference maker because Edmonton was starting to put some stuff together a little late. I mean, you'd like to, better late than never, but in this case, it was too little, too late, and then also Saskatchewan finally pinning their ears back and, getting that victory there. And I think playing against Cody Fajardo was just a little extra motivation. Former Saskatchewan quarterback a few years back. But let's look at some stats real quick. Quarterback Trevor Harris for that Saskatchewan Roughriders team went 15 of 25, 193 yards, and a touchdown. Running back A.J. Olette ran that ball 15 times for 62 yards, and wide receiver Samuel Emelis had 6 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. And, of course, again, here we go. Another stat from our favorite position, the kicker position, as Brett Lawther went 2 for 3 on field goals. The longest one was from 51 yards. On the Edmonton side of the ball, Cody Fajardo got the start for Trey Ford. He went 26 of 33, 346 yards. Again, a quarterback in the CFL with more passing yards than his opponent, and they still lose the game. He threw for 2 touchdowns, by the way. He also ran for 20 yards. Wide receiver Stephen Dunbar had 5 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Keon Julian Grant had 2 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, the kicking game, you don't think about it too much in the NFL unless somebody's, kicking a game-winning field goal. But, with only 3 downs, the kicking game is really important. If you get close, you've got to kick a field goal and get those points, and that can make a big difference in a game. So the kicking stats are very important in the CFL, I think more than the NFL. But yeah,
it's the way the game's set up. It makes sense. I know a lot of people will hear the 3 downs and go, "Ew, only 3 downs? Like, that sounds awful." And there might be a little extra punting, but it just adds a whole other dynamic and strategy to your offense. Like, all right, like it was 3rd and 2. It's like the 4th down in the NFL. It's like, all right, is this your go for it? But in the CFL, there is a lot more kicking because in certain situations, it is more, hey, we got this far, you take the points, and yes, they have that Rouge rule where, hey, even if we miss it and you kick it out of the end zone, we're at least going to get a point. So we come away with something. Right. So there is quite a bit of strategy. That's what we like about the CFL. So I'll let you continue. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Now, a couple of game notes. The Saskatchewan defense recorded 8 sacks in this game. The most by any team this season. The most anybody else had done was 5 sacks in a game. and here's
Man.
Saskatchewan getting 8. Of course, I think they got 2 on the final drive there in the fourth quarter when they needed to hang on to the ball and or keep uh, the other guys from scoring. So yeah, their defense was just awesome. They were all over the place. Edmonton committed 11 penalties for 133 yards in this game. That's never good. Saskatchewan,
No.
meanwhile, had just 6 penalties for 53 yards. So twice as many penalties and yards, and that it doesn't help at all.
No, I mean Edmonton's got so many problems they got to clean up. Like they're still trying to figure out the quarterback position. That offensive line looks like it could use some work. The penalties aren't helping you. Edmonton is just, man, they are like that poor kid that you're trying to pull for them, but they keep running into the basketball pole, on the recess court. Like, kid, like, I'm pulling for you, but you keep just, what are you doing? I want them to turn it around. I hope they turn it around. They got so many good pieces. I love their receivers. I like both their quarterbacks, but they just can't get anything consistent out of them. And we'll see. I hope they get it turned around for their sake, because it's been a couple of rough years watching the Elks.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, well, let's take a break from talking about the CFL for a moment. We have a weekly audio podcast called This Week in the World of Football. Our episode this week was episode number 404. Yeah, we've been doing this for nearly 8 years now. And next month we're going to be doing our 8th anniversary show, which is going to be episode 407. Now, 3 things that we had talked about on this week's episode, which was recorded yesterday. We talked about the playoff matchups in the Indoor Football League and the Arena League all being set. There were 3 champions crowned in the Women's Football Alliance at Canton. All 3 of those games were played in Canton, Ohio. And the Buffalo Bills are the team that's going to be featured on Hard Knocks this year. So just some of the stories that we've covered on our weekly podcast. And we do this every week on every Tuesday. So check that out. We get a chance.
Yep, a lot of good stuff coming. We had on that same show. You could find it here on YouTube, or you can find it on wherever good podcasts can be found. We had our buddy Trey from Off the Wall talking Indoor Football League. There's a little snippet of that, and we'll have a video out with him at some point in the next day or so. When you're checking this out, around the same time, a full IFL discussion on the season and looking at their playoffs. Should be exciting over there in the Indoor Football League as that season winds down. But we are still in full CFL mode, and I know we still got a couple games to talk about. So let's move on to more games, Dad.
Yeah. Yep, on Saturday night, it was our beloved Toronto Argonauts over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 31-17. It was a really rainy night, at least in the first half of that game. People were slipping all over the field. A lot of guys couldn't hang on to the ball, so it was very interesting in the first half. But Winnipeg led 10-9 at the end of the first quarter. Winnipeg was shut out in the second quarter, and Toronto scored 16 unanswered points to lead 25-10 at halftime. Quarterback Chris Strevler came in the second half, and Toronto still led 28-17 after 3 quarters, and Toronto went on to cruise to a 31-17 win, which was just their second win of the season. I mean, it was great to see Toronto really taking charge of a game and just pulling away for a change. But it was only their second game. But this is how they should have been playing all year long. I mean, they won the Grey Cup last year, and boy, are they struggling this year.
Yeah, they looked like Grey Cup form during this game against the Blue Bombers. It's like they got up to play them and nobody else this season. I don't know, it's been Toronto and Winnipeg both been very odd watching them starting off the 2025 campaign the way they have. Man, it seems like both teams have most of the same pieces from last year, and for whatever reason, it's just not all kind of ending up in win total, the total wins. Yeah. But I mean, it's usually how it goes in the CFL. One year your team's on top, and then the next year you come back with the same guys, and the script is flipped. Like, look at Hamilton. We're going to talk about Hamilton in a little bit. Like Hamilton last year, they might have added a few guys, but man, some of their core guys are back, and they're looking way better than they did last year. So it's that's just the way the CFL goes, and that's why we love it so much.
Yeah.
But let's talk some stats real quick. All right, quarterback Nick Arbuckle, the MVP or the most outstanding player for the Grey Cup game last year in Vancouver, which we were at, by the way. That's where I got the snazzy hat. But he went 22 of 31 passing for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Kalen LeBourne ran the ball 13 times for 50 yards. Wide receiver DeMonte Coxey had 6 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Devarius Daniels had 4 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. And lo and behold, we got more kicker stats, everybody. Lyram Hiralahu of the Argonauts was 6 for 6 on the day, the longest field goal from 40 yards. So he didn't have to go too far, but he was consistent and made all 6 of those important kicks. Then for the Winnipeg side, Zach Calero started this game. He was 5 for 10, threw for 79 yards. We had 2 really rough interceptions. Then they brought in backup quarterback Chris Streveler's dad mentioned. He went 11 of 18 passing for 148 yards and a touchdown. Running back Brady Oliveira ran the ball 13 times for 82 yards. And wide receiver Jareth Stearns had 4 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown during this game.
Yeah, this was a rematch of last year's Grey Cup game that Toronto was not supposed to win that game last year. Winnipeg was the heavy favorite.
Nobody gave him a shot except except a couple of guys from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Who were wearing our Toronto Argonauts shirts and rooting for the team. Outnumbered there in that stadium, I think. But yeah, I mean, Toronto won that game 41-24 last year. So it was great that we were there. But in this particular game, Winnipeg committed 7 turnovers and Toronto just 1. That's a pretty big deal there. No offensive touchdowns for Winnipeg in the first half. That doesn't help either. Toronto.
No, but that defensive touchdown they had though, to go up 10-9 was man, a slippery ball. I think Arbuckle's looking around for it, and a dude just scooped it up and took it in for the Winnipeg defense. That was a good play for them. I'll give them that.
Yeah, that's what that rainy, wet field had a hand in that one. Toronto quarterback Chad Kelly, who was injured last year in the playoffs, giving Arbuckle a chance to play in the playoff game and the championship game last year. Kelly has been placed on a 6-game disabled list. He's not played yet this year. Every week it's like, we think he's ready. We think he's going to start, and he never does. So right now they've got him on a 6-game disabled list from that leg injury that he suffered last year in the playoffs. So
we'll see. Does that open the door for another quarterback to kind of come in and get another look? Because nothing against Arbuckle, the Grey Cup most outstanding player
this year.
He has, but man, when he's looked rough though, you're missing Chad Kelly. Yep. But I don't know if this is them trying to just open up a spot, do you bring in another quarterback, or is it bringing a different roster spot? Hard to say right now, but we'll see. But interesting that they now all of a sudden, 8 weeks in, now he's getting put on the 6-game disabled list. So
yeah. And there's probably some rule out there, if he's on the team and they have to do that at a certain point. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs.
Because I mean, we do know we talked to Tyler Kulka, who's currently in the Arena League, the TAL, talking about how at some point the CFL is going to open up some new roster parameters, allowing more players to join rosters. So maybe that's got something to do with it. I'm sure there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure somebody could learn us some stuff. Just let us know. If we're near it, if we're off, I mean, just some clarification would be nice. But I mean,
sure.
So we'll see. They got a lot of interesting rules on how they operate with their rosters. So I mean, I'm not privy to all of that. So I rely on some of our friends up there in Canada to fill us in on those details.
Yep. And believe me, they do let us know when we're wrong, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that at all because we don't know everything. We want to know everything, but we don't.
We're experts who will also try to learn stuff.
That's right. All right, and finally, the last game of the week on Sunday was the Hamilton Tiger Cats over the BC Lions, 37-33. BC led 14-3 after the first quarter. BC rookie defensive back Robert Carter Jr. had an incredible one-handed interception in the end zone just before halftime. I don't know if that made SportsCenter, ESPN SportsCenter or not, but man, that was an incredible catch. And they talked about how he had one in college too. And I've posted both of those videos. Somebody mashed them up together where you can see them both, and they were both very similar. But man, that one yesterday, I think he's 5'9", and he went over this taller receiver to get that one-handed grab, and he tucked it in and never even put the other hand on it until after he was on the ground already. So that was just an incredible play.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Even on the CFL's X page, they got like a video up right now. It's about a minute and a half long. Just different angles of that interception. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, check that out.
That's awesome. If it didn't make it on Sports Center here in the States, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It was like you're not going to see many plays better than that.
No, that was awesome. So anyway, that helped BC keep the lead at halftime, 20-13. BC then led 23-20 at the end of the third quarter, and in the fourth quarter they had a 33-30 lead with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. But Hamilton scored to take the lead, 37-33, with just 16 seconds left, and they walked away with a big road win. That was a real heartbreaker for BC, and I was rooting for them.
Oh yeah,
I'm wearing the Hamilton shirt because of that. I mean, they were down pretty much the whole game, and 16 seconds they came from behind to win, and that, like you said, Hamilton is just playing out of their mind right now.
they are a fun watch right now. Now when I'm looking at the games that are on, I see it's Hamilton. I got to check this out.
Yeah.
Like, Hamilton's been that draw for me right now. But during this game, I actually got to catch this one live as it was going on, and this was BC's game to win. They had it. They even capitalized on a big fumble that Hamilton had, and then the Lions went up by 10 points. And at that point, I was like, man, that stinks for the Ticats. This great run they've been on. You hate to see it, come to an end like this. But then I hate saying this with Cats teams, but they clawed their way back. They got the lead back, and they looked good doing it. They just finally were like, all right, we're taking the gloves off. And while Rourke had a good game, and made some great passes, but just that Ticats defense was just able to help them out there at the end. They got back into it. And I think I forget how many possessions they had. It was like 4 straight possessions, wasn't it, at the end of the game that BC had. They had a chance to keep the clock burning, to go down and maybe get some more points just to keep that lead building up. And they eventually couldn't do it. And the Ticats just had a little more stamina, I think. I think the Ticats are kind of built for a longer fight. The BC Lions are a good team, I think. I don't know if they can last a full 4 quarters. They've let a couple games that they should have won slip through their fingers now, and you hate to see it. But I mean, for Hamilton, what does that now make it? 5 wins in a row after starting 0-2?
Yes, that's their fifth in a row. BC committed 3 turnovers, and Hamilton only had 1 turnover in this team. So that's where that stands. All right, do you want to
and then real quick some stats. Sure, so how about we talk about the winning quarterback first? Quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell, who has been playing out of his mind for the last 2 seasons, it seems like, just absolutely on a tear. He went 34 of 41 not yesterday, but this weekend. 389 yards passing, 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. That obviously the interception we were just talking about by BC, that incredible one-hander. Then running back Greg Bell ran the ball 11 times for 56 yards. Wide receiver Keandre Smith had 14 catches for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, another kicker stat. Kicker Mark Leggio went 3 for 3 on field goals during the game, his longest from 40 yards. That also improves him to a streak of 31 consecutive field goals, as well as going 16 for 16 on the season. Unbelievable for him. Yep. And then on the BC side of things, quarterback Nathan Rourke went 20 of 27 for 289 yards, but no touchdowns. He also ran the ball for 34 yards. Running back James Butler ran the ball 16 times for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Keon Hatcher had 5 catches for 117 yards. And hey, guess what, guys? We're going to bring up the other kicker, too. Sean White was 4 for 4 on field goals. The longest for him was 45 yards.
Yeah, James Butler, I think his 2 touchdowns were both in the first half of the game. I think they kept showing his mom up in the stands. She came up to Canada to see the game, and he had a hell of a first half. And running backs in the CFL, it's pretty rare for them to get over 100 yards rushing. It's more of a passing league, so a running back may have 20 yards in a game sometimes. But yeah, you get a guy like that, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's an awesome performance by a running back in the Canadian Football League.
I'm just surprised that it doesn't happen more. Like with as much space that's out there, the way that the things are kind of constructed, with the defensive line being a yard off of the ball. I guess there's 12 guys, but that field is so massive. There's always just these pockets of space. I'm surprised there isn't more with the running stats or running back just breaking something. So, but yeah.
And then on by this past week was the Ottawa Red Blacks. They'll be in action again this week. Well, looking at the standings real quick, after 8 weeks in the East Division, it's the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Montreal Alouettes at 5-2, Toronto Argonauts at 2-5, and the Ottawa Red Blacks at 1-6. And over in the Western Division, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the best record in the league at 6-1. Calgary Stampeders dropped to 5-2 this week. Winnipeg Blue Bombers are at 3-3. BC Lions at 3-5, and the Edmonton Elks at 1-5. It's going to be a long season yet, so these numbers can change in a heartbeat. Let's see. Next week, week 9, it's going to start out on Thursday night. It's going to be Calgary at Ottawa, and it's going to be Toronto at Winnipeg on Friday night. That's going to be a rematch of this past week, so they get to swap home venues and play again, Toronto and Winnipeg. On Saturday, it's a doubleheader: Hamilton at Edmonton and Montreal at Saskatchewan. The Montreal-Saskatchewan game on Saturday is the only one that's going to be on CBS Sportsnet here in the States. But you can catch those other 3 games on CFL Plus. Just go to CFL.ca, go in there and log in one time. All you got to do is put in your name and your email address, and you're good for the season. It's free, and the coverage is great. So do that if you want to check out some of these other games. And then on by this next week, it's going to be the BC Lions. So that's
So a Thursday, a Friday, and 2 Saturday games. No Sunday game, which is a little odd. So maybe we'll have to record the next episode on Sunday. We'll have time. So maybe that'll work out. So should be some good games. Is there one in particular you're itching to check out?
I want to see if Calgary can bounce back against Ottawa. I mean, they're both a couple of struggling teams. Calgary's not struggling. They need a win.
They were struggling.
Yeah, they need a win, and it might be a good time to play Ottawa. But Ottawa's at home, so who knows? Ottawa could win that game too.
Yeah, Ottawa's got to put some stuff together after their bye last week. So we'll see. I'm hoping Ottawa puts it together. I liked them at the start of the year, but they've just kind of been stagnant, not looked as great as I hoped they would after their opening game loss, which showed a lot of promise.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of looking forward to this Toronto-Winnipeg game. Well, you would think it'd be the Montreal-Saskatchewan game because you'll have 2, top
5-2
teams in
team
each
and a
division.
6-1 team.
Yep.
Yeah.
The East and West Division leaders playing each other. You'd think that'd be the one, but while I'm sure that'll be a good game, I'm just curious about if Toronto can get another win or stack a couple in a row, or does Winnipeg, because it's in their venue, come out on top. That's the one I'm very curious about.
Yeah. Yeah, we shall see after next week's, and we'll be back again next week to talk about all these games. All right, that's it for this week. Tune in again next week when Adam and I will review the games played up north of the border. We're here throughout the CFL regular season and the postseason, as well as for the 112th Grey Cup game that's going to be played in Winnipeg on November 16th. Check out the highlights from all the games in the CFL at cfl.ca/videos. If you need help picking out a team, we can assist you. You'd be surprised just how much fun this league is when you just start. You can hear us talk about it, sure, but you got to go see some of these highlights. I mean, even the plays that we don't talk about are fantastic sometimes. I mean, the great hits, the great catches. You got to see it to believe it up there.
And there's been a few times on X now that I've seen somebody tweet out, how have I not known about the CFL tonight?
Yeah.
That they're people discovering the CFL all the time, and I love seeing it. I love seeing people go, "This has been here. This is fantastic. I'm having fun watching this." Even one guy was like, "I need a team," and everybody left their suggestions. And of course, the World of Football came through and helped them out and found them a team. So it's so much fun. If you're not invested yet, you should be. It is awesome.
Yeah. If you have any questions about the CFL, you can ask down in the comments of this video. If we don't know the answer, we've got friends up in Canada who probably do know the answer, and they'll let us know. So remember, people, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Us two guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about the CFL. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you next week somewhere around the 55-yard line.